you're anti-trans.
Excuse me. Yeah, I went to watch this video. I don't really watch people like Alexis Blake for the most part because I tend to agree with them broadly. It's probably not super interesting if I'm just agreeing with stuff all the time. But yeah, so we've got this video. What's happening with Elliot Page? I don't know. I've been wondering that quite a long time, but let's see. Let's see.
It's really hard to not see the pain that this person's feeling.
Yeah, true, right away. Yeah, this is what I mean. I don't watch her very often. I tend to agree with her, like, broadly. But yeah, like, just looking at Elliot Page makes me feel kind of sad, honestly.
Trans joy is not there for him in this moment. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Alexis Blake, and if you are new here, I am a trans woman and I share my life stories and opinions on social media. So today we're going to be doing a slightly opinion related video, so grab a cup of tea, grab a glass of wine, whatever you want, have a sit down and let's just dive right in. Before I forget to ask at the end, if you have any
You don't remember this one, to be fair. It's from one day ago, so that's understandable.
Comments on this subject or this topic, please do comment below. I'm always interested in reading your opinions. So what are we talking about today? Elliot Page. The internet has a lot to say about Elliot Page. So since they began their transition in the spotlight as a famous actor, I'll go into their backstory in a moment, but I've sat back and I have watched this unfold and I've formed my own opinion. I've seen other content creators on different apps talk about their transition and their opinion on it and what they think is really going on. It's so wild to see a lot of other people unpick someone else, and it can be quite brutal. Some of the things I've seen.
I mean, is that not normal for a famous person? Let's be real. You're in the spotlight, people are gonna unpick you. If you're not in the spotlight but are trying to be, people are gonna unpick you. If you're just making videos and streams and stuff, people are still gonna try and unpick you. I don't know.
Quite brutal. We'll watch some today. Let's do a little bit of a backstory about Elliot Page before we dive in. So Elliot Page, formerly known as Ellen Page, is an actor that has been in the spotlight since they were quite young in the late 90s. Famous roles that you might know them for is X-Men, Hard Candy and Juno. That's a big one that I think a lot of people would know. Previous Ellen Page to not Elliot Page. Oh gosh, it's confusing. So from now on, I'm just going to say Elliot Page or Elliot just to make it easier and more concise in my head. During a speech in the 2016 Human Rights Campaign, Elliot did actually come out as a lesbian.
I draw upon your strength and your support.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seems like someone who's fallen down some kind of cult rabbit hole, but it will have started before they started transition, you know what I mean? So like, this might be, I mean, the Human Rights Campaign, I have issues with these people. I mean, these are the ones running that I Am Jazz initiative, which is where Sarah McBride was reading weird books to kids and telling kids that she's a woman, even though society told her she was a boy, when in fact she was born male, you know? I'm not allowed to say that's grooming, so I'm going to have to think of a different word for what that is. I don't like the Human Rights Campaign.
In ways
Hi, Kelly. I hope you're good.
that you will never know. And I am here today because I am gay. And because
See, you tell people you're gay and get a massive round of applause for it. Isn't that a bit weird? Especially like 2016, was it? Were things that bad in 2016 that this is some kind of act of bravery? It stopped being an act of bravery, in my opinion, and started being like a career move, pretty much.
As you can imagine, the media attention that Elliot got for coming out as a lesbian in the spotlight was huge. For them to come out on stage and just be like, this is who I am, this is me, it was met by a lot of support, and it was probably a great high for that person to feel like the love and the warmth of people. Later down the line in 2020 on social media, Elliot did do a post saying that they were no longer Ellen, that is their old name, they're now Elliot, their new
I want to look at this, hang on. Gratitude, authentic self, whatever that means. Were you not being your authentic self being a lesbian? Guess not. I know it's not my business, but in every pic she looks happier and healthier as a girl. Yeah, it's true, it's true. Endlessly inspired by so many in the trans community, but don't worry about social contagion. Social contagion is not a thing, and we're on our pro-trans arc. Courage, generosity, make the world more inclusive, blah, blah. My joy is real, but it is fragile. My joy is real, sure. Everyone believes you. Everyone in the whole world believes you. Thank you, Petunia. Why don't you like the stream? You're all freeloading. That's a joke, but please like the stream. Thank you. Also, check the links in my description. You can support the stream on Streamlabs. You can check out some music that I've made. You can also join my Discord, unless the link is wrong, which it might be, because it's Monday, and that's what happens on Mondays. Is it Monday? It's probably Monday. I don't know. I saw some of my family yesterday. Another lost lesbian. Yeah, I don't know. We're not ready to have those conversations about whether this is kind of weird eugenics for gay people and disabled people. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm pro-trans now. I'm not allowed to have any of those opinions, otherwise people will get upset at me. And I don't want that. I don't want people to get upset at me. You know what I mean? It's mean. You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't get upset at each other. Scared of the invasiveness, hate jokes of violence, despite the fact that famous trans men, they're really not the ones dealing with most of the violence. Most of the violence is happening towards, like, trans sex workers, often of color. Like, there's problems there, and I'm not going to deny that. It's just really weird when it's the privileged white rich ones that are always the ones talking about violence. I find that strange. Statistics are staggering. Yep, the statistics are staggering, but they're not about you. But hey, if you're trans, you're probably a narcissist. You're going to have to make it about you. Oh shit, I really didn't last long in the pro-trans thing. I'm not pro-trans, I'm very anti-trans. Excuse me. Discrimination, extremely vague. 40 trans people have been murdered, majority of whom were trans women and black and Latino. So nothing like you. So why are you talking about all this? Why are you invoking a struggle that is not yours? Political leaders, like, this is cult shit. Like, it's like Elliot Page, like, got all the training and then came out as a cult member. I'm not seeing her coming out as a trans man. I'm seeing her coming out into the cult. Still a lesbian. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Political leaders, you have blood on your hands. Completely crazy statements. Unleash a fury of violent, demeaning rage. Like, this is insane shit that she is saying here. Like, this is insane. This is culty as fuck. This is coming out as a cult member. You aren't being cancelled, you are hurting people, blah, blah, blah. I love that I'm trans. Well, you call yourself trans, that's all that means. And I love that I'm queer. Queer is completely meaningless. And the more I hold myself close, blah, blah, blah. And then mentioning the threat of violence as well. Because I guess because you're trans, you get to invoke that shared struggle or some shit when no one's fucking... no one's killing you because you're a rich white trans guy. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, that's my feelings on Elliot Page coming out.
Post saying that they were no longer Ellen, that is their old name, they're now Elliot. Their new pronouns are he and they were coming out as a trans man. Lots of people in the LGBTQ...
Unlike Alexis, who doesn't look unhappy, one thing I will say, damage done to the current social climate. I wonder if Alexis feels the need to cover trans topics as a form of continued affirmation. I don't know. I wouldn't want to think that way, honestly. It's a little cynical, I would say. Like, Alexis has been covering these kind of topics for a decent while, as far as I know. Does it feel good to be a victim the way everyone coddles and claps for everything you do? Yeah, I can see exactly why that would feel good, yeah. And hey, people say things like, why would anyone want to be trans? Like, all the discrimination, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, all the attention you get off the back of this shit, you know what I mean? There's so many different reasons, ultimately.
Plus community was supporting them because they were going to become a poster child. It was inevitable. That's the thing here, right? So people saying Elliot became a trans activist, which he did, which we'll talk about more.
Yeah, he came out as one.
In a little bit. But it was inevitable. If you're going to be that famous and come out as trans, you are going to become an advocate or a poster child for the trans movement, whether he liked...
I don't think that has to be the case. I don't agree with this. No one has to come out and immediately start saying all the cult shit, you know what I'm saying?
Or not. The video has gone viral, like super viral, of Elliot talking to his younger self about transition and what it meant and what it would be like and how life would get better and things like that. And I do appreciate the sentiment. I will start there. So I understand where the thought process is coming from. But when this came out, people had a lot to say about it. So let's look at that now, and then I'll give my opinion before we look at some other YouTubers who have strong opinions about Elliot Page.
My message to my younger self would just be like, you know who you are, you know, and please.
Who's this person talking to? Are they talking to themselves, or are they talking to everyone else? I know who I am. Not sure.
Embrace that. I feel, for me, I understood my truth.
My truth. It's all very unfalsifiable.
I felt it very strongly, and it was all of these external forces and noises that pushed and pulled and made me sort of lose track of who I was. And so I guess to my younger self, I'd say, you know, that discomfort and that pain you're feeling, that is not yours, that is theirs. And
yeah, it just doesn't seem like there's been any healing from that. Like, and I'm not sitting here like, you know, this is funny. It's funny to watch someone who clearly isn't happy pretending that they're happy. It's not like that. It's like, this isn't good for you. That's what it's overwhelmingly looking like to people. I just don't know. I just don't know. Personally, I think this is more for the benefit of other people. No, this is who I really am. This is who I really am. A lot of head shaking.
younger self would just be like, you know who you are.
Okay, that is a bit more egregious.
Message to my younger self would just be like, you know who you are.
You know who you are. You've always been... Oh, hang on, you can't see me. You know who you are. You know who you are. You do. You do. You know who you are. That's quite difficult to fucking do. God. Elliot sounds and looks like they're on the verge of crying every time they've spoken after their transition. To be fair, I think the voice has been, like, edited slightly, but I am inclined to believe the same thing. It does look like that. I hope you good Black Harvest. Looks like she's going to cry. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the voice sounds funny, so it sounds like there's been a bit of pitching or something going on, but I don't know. It's difficult for me to believe that this person is happy, and, like, what are you supposed to do when that's what it looks like to you? But lots of people are going to look at this and find this inspiring somehow, which it couldn't be me, that's for sure. Jesus. I feel like this might have put me off transitioning. Anyway.
You know, and please embrace that. I feel, for me, I understood my truth. I felt it very strongly, and it was all of these external forces and noises that pushed and pulled.
And it's all very vague language. Like, is this relatable? Does anyone find this relatable? I don't. I have no idea why this person is trans. Because it's all just, well, it's my truth. I could say that anything is my truth. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't get it. I feel like I'm looking at a car crash or something.
And made me sort of lose track of who I was. And so I guess to my younger self,
It's very metaphorical language, you know what I mean?
I'd say, you know, that discomfort and that pain you're feeling, that is not yours, that is theirs. And to just keep going on the journey of embracing.
And the theirs, like, who are we talking about? Are we talking about transphobes? It's dangerous for confused teenage girls to be listening to this. Yeah, I kind of agree, to be honest. Like, I'd be terrified if I had, like, a niece or something. I'm not having kids myself. If I had a niece or something, and this is the kind of person they're looking up to, it's like, I just don't know, man. People told her to be happy, but she doesn't look happy. Yeah, I agree. It's like, it's grim, like, to watch. I can sit and, like, poke holes in, like, this coming out story, which to me is just coming out as a cult member, coming out as a TRA, which is insane to me. But ultimately, like, this is kind of dark. A book is confusing as fuck. I've never read it. I feel like I'd struggle, honestly. Oh, you bet her book. Ah, okay, fair enough. Has anyone read Page Boy?
who you truly are, and that's what's going to lead you to happiness.
Hang on. Just one more thing. We're almost done, I promise.
Embracing who you truly are, and that's what's going to lead you to happiness.
That's what's going to lead you to happiness. Or there's a bit of a head shaking there. It's just not convincing, and like, I don't know. People are gonna think there's all kinds of reasons why someone wouldn't find this very convincing, like some kind of conspiracy theory that trans men aren't taken seriously, when I think plenty of them are. I think if someone seems like they're not taking them seriously, when this is the kind of thing they're not taking seriously, maybe there's other reasons than like, what's it even called? The opposite of trans misogyny, trans misandry. I don't know. Not sure. But then it'd be regular misogyny, because the idea is, because it's women, that's why you don't take them seriously. So it's, yeah, interesting. Oh, the panic button, they covered it. Maybe I'll watch that sometime then. I don't know. I don't particularly want to read Pageboy myself. I think it would just make me depressed. I think it would further cement that I never related to trans culture, and that probably there was no point in me transitioning. My body says otherwise. Yeah, and in a way. It's hard to know how much I can go down that road with like kind of watching people's body language and stuff like that, but I don't know, man. This is a bit egregious. Like, it's very difficult to not feel a certain way. And it's very difficult not to understand why people feel a certain way about this in particular, you know what I mean?
I'll be the first to say it. He seems really sad. And this is where a lot of the point of the
Everyone thinks so. Nobody is convinced by this person except for like diehards. Cutting off body parts the way to happiness. Apparently so, and apparently that's normal. So hey, I don't know. I've been trying to work out my feelings on like the trans attitudes towards like cosmetic surgery and stuff. There was someone on Twitter going kind of viral for like getting something done to their clavicle or something, getting it reduced. Is it the clavicle, this bit? I can't remember. And like, I just don't know. We what's the word I'm looking for? We glorify the fuck out of like cosmetic surgery and cosmetic procedures. And when we talk about that kind of thing in conjunction with women, it's seen as a bit misogynist, a bit kind of pushing of unrealistic beauty standards. But then when we talk about trans people, it's seen completely differently. You know what I mean? I just think it's messed up. Like, how many people are we kind of giving a complex to? How many people are ending up like Brianna Wu, like surgery after surgery, filter after filter? Are they ever going to be happy? It's hard to say, honestly.
videos have come from, like why it's gone so viral. He's talking about finding his true self, and he seems
He
very
used to play the clavicle and skull band. Oh my God.
sad about it. Obviously there is some dark connotations within there, because he was talking about how as he was growing up in the spotlight, I think people were pressuring him to not be his true self. So not to come out as a lesbian because that would make him unmarketable for roles, and then not come out as trans because again that would make him unmarketable for roles. I think that's where he's coming from with that. I think meaning lots of different people from the outside were influencing his life, how he acted, how
I mean, this is fairly normal though. Like, a lot of gay people go through this shit. Who is it? Listen, this is an obscure music reference. Maybe no one is going to understand what the fuck I'm talking about. I like a band called American Music Club. And they kind of started getting big in like their 80s. I say big, like, you know, alt folk, whatever kind of big. And like the guy is gay. And like the record label, from what I remember, like made him say he was bi for years. Like this is a fairly like regular thing, unfortunately. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's good that it happens. But like, I don't know. Most of these people get through that. They don't end up transitioning and then spending the rest of their lives trying to convince the world that this is their truth and they're happy when people don't really believe them. I'd rather girls be addicted to plastic surgery than end up like this if I could only choose the two. Okay, fair enough. I was about to massively disagree with you, but yeah, fair enough. I'm a little behind. It was only legalized in 2015. Oh, what was only legalized? Sorry. Do you mean like gay marriage, or I'm not sure. Hi, Babka. Got essayed by Hollywood. Maybe. I'm not sure. Hi, Gypsy Lee 333. I hope you're good.
how he behaved and how he presented to the world. It's really hard to let go of. It's really hard to not see the pain that this person's feeling. And I'm not a psychologist. I don't know him. I
think people have been confusing body dysmorphia with gender dysphoria. I think people do, yeah. I see a lot of conflation of those terms, and I kind of see why people get them confused, because I guess you could argue that gender dysphoria kind of causes a sense of body dysmorphia. I've noticed people have stopped talking about body dysmorphia around the same time it started becoming popular. Yeah, there's some interesting parallels between like trans and things like anorexia, especially when the FTM like cohort starts growing massively higher than the MTF cohort, which has previously and traditionally been like the majority, you know what I mean? So there seems to be like links. Feels like he wanted some kind of control over his body. Maybe. Oh, hi, Epic Wade. Yeah, I quite like Alexis, honestly. I like her takes. I don't know her personally. I need to start separating those two things out more. I like the person. I like the takes. It doesn't actually often happen that I like both, but that's fine. That's fine. I'm getting used to that. That's fine. I don't know Alexis personally.
don't know what he's going through. I don't know what's going on in his head. I'm going to say that because a lot of the other YouTubers seem...
Dysphoria means unhappiness. I think dysmorphia means not seeing what's there. Let me check. Intense focus, on perceived flaws in their appearance. Body dysmorphia. Spends a lot of time worrying about the flaws. I can see why this gets mistaken, but really gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria is just being unhappy with your gender or sex, you know? Like, hang on. Like, I would rather have been born female, and I would rather be female if I got the choice. So I would say that, yeah, I suffer from gender dysphoria. I don't think I'm like body dysmorphic or anything. I used to. But nowadays I really don't spend much time like focusing on all the things that I don't like about myself. And there are things like my appearance. I'm not, you know, if I could choose, I'd rather look different for sure. But I don't know. I don't really focus on those things anymore. But then accepting my sex was kind of how I got out of that kind of way of thinking. So I don't know.
To be very much like, this is what's going on, but we don't actually know anyone.
Shapeshifter said, mistaking his body dysmorphia for gender dysphoria. Yeah, I can see that happens. And I do understand how... Yeah, I get you. Like a therapist should know the difference and should hopefully be able to accurately kind of help that person, which very much sounds like is not what happened, so...
fully do it. But all I can say is that looking at that video, I do see someone who is struggling. I see someone who...
And it's not just like overlap with anorexia. It's almost like anorexia kind of dovetailed into like gender stuff to an extent. Seems to be a lot of overlap with what doctors have mentioned. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be. I think a lot of people do conflate those things. And I think I understand the difference between them. I can see why one leads to the other, though.
Who has had to battle through a lot. To some degree, I kind of agree that the trans joy, which we'll talk about more in a bit, which just breaks my heart a little bit.
Trans joy doesn't exist.
But the trans joy is not there for him in this.
There isn't any trans joy. What joy does a trans person have that no one else does? I don't see any, personally. I'd rather see people struggle with dysphoria than anorexia. It kills people. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Clearly, if there's a through line between those kind of things, then the best thing we can do is try and pick up on that and try and help people with that. But I don't know. Obviously, that's easier said than done. I'm not going to claim that I know the way, and all the doctors should listen to me. You know.
Moment in this little capture, but that's the thing, it's just a 1-minute video. We don't know how he is every second of every day for his life. He could be one of
that's a fair point,
the happiest people in the world. Let's react to a YouTuber who was talking about this in quite a direct, I don't want to say harsh, but it's in that sort of area. way.
You're never going to be fully satisfied with yourself.
Hey, it's Amala. She seems decent from what I've seen, honestly. Let me just get out of the way.
Because you're seeking the wrong medication for the illness that you're dealing with. You get to discard the body that you feel has been exploited your entire life. You get to assume a new identity and run from who you are and all of those past experiences. Not to mention the fact that you get to join a new community. You become
Part of the problem, people are against medical diagnosis of gender dysphoria, but still want the treatment for it. Yeah, so the activist types, they don't want there to be something you can nail down. They don't want there to be, this is something you can observe, and this is what means that you're trans, if that makes sense. They want it to be a choice, because the thing is, let's say you pinpointed something in the brain, and that's gender dysphoria. Like, you could then scan people's brains and say, this person is trans, this person is trans, this person is not trans. And the problem is, someone's going to identify as trans, and then what's going to happen is they're being told they can't transition. And there's medical gatekeeping, which is very much what the activist types are against. So we're trying to pretend that this is a, fuck, what am I trying to say? We're trying to pretend that this is an innate thing that's to do with, oh, my gender identity, that's why I'm trans. When actually it's a choice. And actually they want it to be a choice. So there's a lot of doublespeak involved. So, yeah, obviously causes a huge amount of confusion. When Rose Montoya got called out flashing at the White House, claimed she was having joy. Flashing the White House is the meaning of trans joy. Well, it sounds like she was having joy at some trans men's expense based on the allegations. But hey, I don't know what's happened with that. Maybe I'll catch up one day. Oh, hi X Team. Hi Grief Foundation.
become the poster child for a new movement, just like you did when you came out as gay before, and you get sympathy and a group of people that...
Yeah, this is a cynical take, but you got to expect that people are going to see it this way. And just because it's like cynical, that doesn't mean that it's not true.
feel as though they understand you on a deeper level when it couldn't be farther from the truth.
I want to say this before we dig into the video. I do enjoy her content. I don't agree with everything that she says, and I don't disagree with everything she says. I'm always like on the fence with her. Sometimes I'm like, oh, that's not my opinion, but sometimes I'm like, okay, I understand where she's coming from. It's just trying to find that like middle ground, that grey area. So I do understand where she's coming from with some of the things that she's saying, but I also do want to put in like a juxtaposition and just give my opinion. Yes, Elliot might be running from Ellen Page, this young girl who was thrust into the spotlight.
They're scared they won't make, they're scared they won't make the cut. Here's the thing, I do have a bit of sympathy for why people wouldn't want there to be something they can pinpoint and then be told that they're not trans. Because often these people are like fucked up about something. They might not understand what it is they're fucked up over. And if all they're hearing is like, well, it's not that, and it's not that, and it's not that, and it's not that, and you feel a certain way, that is going to be frustrating. So I do have a certain amount of empathy. But at the same time, like the way that it seems to be like put out by activists and the way they seem to deal with the kind of disconnect, you know, the disconnect between whether it's innate, whether it's just something you come up with and what people actually want. Like, it is very difficult, and it's gonna shred people's minds a little bit, and people aren't going to take it well when they're told you're not trans when that's how they're feeling, you know. So I do understand, but the confusion coming from like the activist kind of perspective is the big problem in my opinion. And the answer, in my opinion, is people need to stop fucking lying and start being honest and start talking plainly. Let's all like the stream. I agree. Hi, Bong on fire. Oh, no problem, Black Harvest. Looks a bit like Gina from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. A little bit.
Spotlight, who wasn't treated great by executives, who had men try things, awful things. Were like, she does have trauma, I would imagine. She's openly spoken about it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're running to transition because of that. It might be that it's just, you can have both. You could have trauma and then you could also be trans. Again, I don't know. So I'm just playing devil's advocate, as I always try and do. Because that does lead some people to transition incorrectly, I would say. Because then they end up detransitioning because it's not their true path and how.
Yeah, there's a danger of affirming trans stuff when there's other stuff going on. You might end up not actually dealing with the problem. then the person might realize they've been displacing that problem onto their gender too much. Community relies too much on self-diagnosis. Yeah, well, it's because their belief is that, you know, people have bodily autonomy. People should be able to make their own medical decisions, which I disagree with personally.
How they really feel. But then on the flip side of that, it could be that he is a genuine trans man and he was very unhappy as Ellen and all the other stuff surrounding Ellen and what happened to her back then.
Yeah, so more or less, Amala has a solid idea why she thinks it is. Alexis is, of course, right that we don't know, but I don't know. If all we're saying is we don't know, then all we're seeing is someone begging the world to see them as happy when they're not doing so as a happy person. At least that's what it looks like. So I don't know. And hey, if there's no answers, people are going to speculate. And Amala might be right, ultimately. Who knows? Obviously, something deeper than being trans wouldn't be depressed or even suicidal. I don't know if they're either of those things, to be clear. But I'm not sure. Hi, Shorty McCutlery.
That might have been awful trauma, but it's not necessarily the catalyst for who he is now. But I understand where she made that leap, where she's making that connection.
I mean, trauma and trans are very interlinked things. Like, you get plenty of people who are traumatized and then transition. Very common thing.
The thing that I do want to talk about is she mentions trans joy in her videos, and I've seen this quite a lot. A different YouTube.
Oh my god, Black Harvest. That's something I hear from my partner sometimes. My partner does not like having like the womb, etc. And yeah, you can't get a hysterectomy below a certain age yet. For trans men, it's necessary. I mean, you say they're quick to give trans-identifying women hysterectomies. The truth is, like, you start getting like atrophy of some of that stuff when you've been on T for so long. So it's kind of medically necessary. So I don't know. Think of that what you will, I guess.
YouTubers who analyze trans people or things that are going viral, and a lot of it is to do with trans people. This has always brought up this message, this sentiment of trans joy. Where is the trans joy? We were promised trans joy and we can't see that. Trans people don't feel joy all the time.
See, trans joy to me just seems like some way of like sticking it to the cis people, you know what I mean? That's all it feels like to me. Oh, this is a kind of joy that we experience that you never will. It's like those pissed up lawyer tweets where he puts some statement and uploads a really grim looking photo of himself and then goes on about how like transphobes will never understand this joy that I'm experiencing getting my hair cut, and then his selfie literally looks like this. But anyway.
As any other human being doesn't, but I think there is a lot of incredible examples of trans joy. I am someone who experiences trans joy on a daily basis. To
be clear, I think this is complete bullshit. I don't think it's true at all, but hey, each to their own. And also, I don't know, I'm kind of dead inside. I don't enjoy much of anything, so maybe that's the difference. There's every chance that she's actually right and there is such thing as trans joy, and I'm just not someone predisposed to experience it or something. I think Alan Page must have watched some Jammy Dodger videos. Hey, maybe, who knows? I mean, shit, I guess maybe that's the kind of thing that was laid out in her book. I'm not sure. Most non-binary people I've met have had some kind of trauma. Yeah, you get it quite often with like trans identities and stuff. It's not uncommon at all.
Doesn't mean I'm happy all the time. It doesn't mean I'm always smiley Alexis. Sometimes I cry and sometimes I'm angry and sometimes I get emotional. So I think to boil down the trans experience to one sentence of where is the trans joy on a 1-minute video, which is a snippet into someone's life, I don't think we should deduce that no trans people have joy from.
See, it's not that I disagree. It's just every time you see Elliot Page, they just seem fucking miserable. So it's gonna invite speculation, especially when we're told this is such a good thing that now children should be doing. But then one of the biggest like proponents of this, one of the most famous trans people in the world, like, do you want your daughter to turn into that when they look so miserable?
When my, body started to change and clothes sat on me differently, and all of that was just...
What I'm getting at is like, this isn't the only, this video that we've both watched, I guess. This isn't the only thing. This isn't the only thing that people can point to. Random snippets always on interviews. That's I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But I don't know. I appreciate kind of, she's at least trying to be balanced on this. Like, I do appreciate that.
Was the beginning of really sort of, disconnect.
Because here's the thing. She says something like, well, in that snippet, you can't really deduce that this person doesn't know what trans joy is. But then it's like, well, what about this one? But what about this one? But what about this one? You know?
From myself and feeling...
But yeah, gay joy is being a man and looking down at yourself and enjoying what you have. That's a joke, by the way.
A degree of discomfort that was very erosive.
That's a good point, Gypsy Lee. It's the same with like pictures and stuff. There's an awful lot of stuff. And yeah, you can say with any one clip, well, that doesn't really prove anything. It's a short moment of this person's life. And yeah, that's true. But then people can say, well, what about this? But what about this? But what about this?
And damaging. And I don't think I even, at that point, had probably even heard the word transgender. If it did come up, it would be, briefly in health class with, then the sound of laughter. The experiences I had in regards to bullying, it certainly only encourages the shame.
There's just something very canned about the way this person speaks. Maybe it's a hypervigilance thing on my end, I'm not sure, but...
That literally makes you...
Well, I hope. Always looks sick or in pain when I see him. It's hard to believe when he talks about trans joy. Yeah, that's the thing. And what Alexis is saying, like, this is one clip. Yeah, it's one clip, but then you go find others and it's like the same thing,
When my...
And it's always like the sad piano music and stuff. Like, do people want... What the fuck? Okay, this person's called Elliot Page, I guess. It's not who I'm talking about.
My message...
We've already seen this, hang on.
What would be your weird Olympic sport that you would get gold in?
I think I'm good at recommending books. Like, I'm good, like, if someone's kind of giving me the vibe, this
Trying a little bit harder here.
is what I feel, like, I really love to read, and I do think that is one thing, I'm like, there's a lot I'm not good at.
Sadly, we're having a bit of a problem. Hang on. You know when, like, you see a kid at a wedding and they're wearing a suit and it just looks really awkward because they look like a shrunk adult? Like, that's the vibes I'm getting. But an effort's being made here, at least.
I'm good at recommending books. Like, to be honest, if someone had told me, oh, you come...
This does not look like a happy person. I'm sorry. Listen, you can look at my face and deduce that I'm not a happy person. Maybe you're fucking right, I don't know. But, like, I'm not going around telling people that I have trans joy. I'm not going around telling people this is good and that kids should get in on this. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference.
Come out as trans and you'll never work as an actor again. I would have been like, cool. Like, all right, I'd way rather live my life. And
there's an awful lot of, like, what would you have done differently and stuff. It just feels weird to hear someone discuss that much and that often. And it's something that I used to feel. I'd write songs and stuff, you know what I mean? It'd be interesting to have someone this well-known detransition. There's too much pressure on them. It might happen eventually. There was that Mina Caputo person. I don't know how famous he actually was, but he's detransitioned now. He was on Buck Angel's show. I don't think I ever watched anything, actually. Funny how when he's not talking about anything trans-related, that's the closest to content I've seen him. Yeah.
be myself and engage with the world.
Be myself, be myself, be myself, be myself. What does that mean? What does that mean? Who fucking knows?
World as myself and feel embodied and not feel like I don't know how to get through the day.
Yeah.
Not interested. Like, to be honest, if someone had told me, oh, you come out as trans and you'll never work as an actor again, I would have been like, pfft.
That one. Not radiating trans joy. Okay, this is gonna be, I'm not necessarily gonna endorse what this person's saying.
The award for biggest waste of money on a transition ever goes to... She looks exactly the same with shorter hair.
Wait, are we gonna... Listen, again, an attempt's being made here. Sorry, I don't necessarily avow what this person said. I could put it on mute, to be fair. And by the way, your mastectomy is not necessarily going to look like what Elliot Page's does. This person would have had access to the best kind of surgeons out there. I've seen school counselors pressure trans kids not to transition because it looks bad. That's rough. Jesus. That's lose your job fucking territory as far as I'm concerned. The later they start testosterone, the less the voice changes. I have to look into that. I've not thought about that before. The entire start of our interview can be interpreted as remain cis, embrace who you are. Maybe, yeah. Okay, listen, I'm not down with this kind of thing. We're just looking at pictures. Okay, anyway. See if there's any more.
How will you look back on how it aligned with your own personal journey and transition?
To share with people that
The whole world.
the timing of, yeah. I just feel so lucky.
It's easier to laugh when other people are laughing. Laughter is contagious. But hey, again, attempt being made.
Elliot, how will you look back on how it aligned with your own personal journey and transition?
To share with people that...
But he doesn't know what to say. Listen, maybe it's annoying that I keep going back, but you're gonna have to bear with me. I'm sorry.
Elliot, how will you look back on how it aligned with your own personal journey and transition?
To share with
He doesn't know what to say. When you're off track, you don't seem to know what to say. It's interesting. It's interesting how different you sound with all these canned, prepared statements, like how he came out. Like, to share with, he doesn't know what to say.
people that...
The whole world.
The timing of, yeah. I just feel so lucky to have gotten to be a part of the show, truly, to work with such incredible people. Thomas Page McBee.
And yeah, we're talking about other things as well. Nervous laughter, hey, maybe. I mentioned Helen Joyce explained. Male puberty changes vocal cords. Adam's apple, blah, blah, blah. FTM, HRT only changes the vocal cords. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why people shouldn't say, I'm going through a second puberty. And it's like, listen, I'm not doing this to be mean. This is an Entertainment Tonight video. It's not a TERF video. But all the comments still looks miserable. Never seen him or her look happy. Poor girl, she needed therapy for whatever this is. This is a sad person. Something about self-hate and self-harm. Listen, I don't want to go around calling people self-hating. I'm not saying that I think Elliot Page is self-hating. I really find it quite disgusting when people say that about me. So I try not to say it about others unless it seems really necessary, you know?
Brought on board incredible trans writer to help make that honest and...
Wait, they brought in a trans writer because this is a trans actor. Like, what? Why? Anyway. I haven't watched the show that Elliot Page is in, to be clear. Got anything else? What was this called? Elliot Page is confident and free as a bird. Oh, there's music on here. Okay. Rip copyright. Anyway. Was Ellen Page autistic? I have no idea, to be clear. I'm not seeing the confidence myself. I'm seeing someone who doesn't want to be seen hunched down, hands in pockets. Like, this is what I look like when I don't really want people to notice me, you know? Okay, this isn't very this isn't very helpful. What else we got?
Elliot Page is not holding back in his memoir Pageboy, as he has revealed a secret relationship he had with a fellow actor who was already in a relationship right after coming out as gay. Elliot revealed in his memoir that he and actor Kate Mara, who was dating Max Minghella, were romantically involved during the filming of X-Men Days of Future Past. Elliot shared that Minghella was supportive of Elliot and Kate exploring their feelings for one another. Elliot has recalled a famous asshole who told him that being gay doesn't exist at a party in LA in 2014, just after he had come out. Elliot says he will not reveal.
Forget about saving the world. I just spent 5 years building a life for myself.
Okay, this is clips. I think that'll do for now. Am I on the autism spectrum? Yeah, as far as I know. I was diagnosed with Asperger's when I was like 9 or 10.
Someone's life. I don't think we should deduce that no trans people have joy from. So basis. That doesn't mean I'm happy all the time. It doesn't mean I'm always smiley Alexis. Sometimes I cry and sometimes I'm angry and sometimes I get emotional. So I think to boil down the trans experience to one sentence of where is the trans joy.
You can see why Elliot felt different to women because of that macho cowboy hard man energy that couldn't wear a dress. Oh man.
On a 1-minute video, which is a snippet into someone's life.
Yeah, listen, that was a huge amount of effort just to talk about one point made here. But that's why I don't necessarily agree with what she's saying here. Because the problem is, you can just find other clips. Well, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, what about this? Etc.
I don't think we should deduce that.
Yeah, I used to hate talking about autism stuff because it just felt like anytime I'd tell someone it, they'd completely change how they treated me and they'd suddenly decide that they know who I am and what I'm like. And I really hate when people think they know me when they don't. There's something just really bothers me about that. You know what I mean? Because often people don't really bother to make an effort with someone like me who is like outwardly a bit crazy and mentally ill. And that's something I'm very used to. But then for people to like act like they know me when they haven't made any of that effort to like try and get past the exterior, it just drives me insane. I don't like that kind of thing. But hey, that's me.
That no trans people have joy from.
The autism connection is massive. Yes, because autistic people tend to feel alien to a lot of things. I think Elliot's trying really hard to be happy with their transition. They thought that's what they wanted originally. Hard to come back off. Yeah. I mean, at a certain point, the sunk cost fallacy could be kicking in. Again, I'm speculating because I don't know Elliot Page, but you wonder whether the sunk cost fallacy starts coming into it after a while. You've lived a certain amount of time as this. You already came out as it. You don't want to let down the people that look up to you, etc., etc. And I mean, Elliot Page came out as a TRA, so I don't know. If it's something he wants to come back from, it's going to be difficult, and that sucks, you know.
That's what I'm trying to say there. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean?
Your husband feels the same way. Yeah, it's just so annoying. Like, because people know a basic list of possible like autistic traits, suddenly they know you, and it's like, no, I'd rather you just treat me like you treat anyone else. Like, if I didn't have autism, how would you be treating me? You know what I mean? Let's let's start from there and let me decide if I think you're a fucking normal person myself. The most sunk cost fallacy ever. Hey, maybe. Automatic prejudice and infantilization. Yep, it happens, but hey. That's why people stay in cults. Well, you know. What parallels can we draw?
Like, I understand where she's coming from, because you can't see any trans joy in his face in that video. But
or any of the others.
I also just want to point out that we don't know that's how he feels all the time. And a lot.
Yeah, when the camera comes on, he just gets sad face, maybe. I'm not sure.
If not most trans people don't feel like that. Right, we have another.
Listen, I'm giving her a bit of shit, but I do appreciate her approach rather than calling people transphobes for not affirming the fuck out of Elliot Page. Like, you know, trying to keep it real. Like, I do appreciate her perspective, honestly. I just disagree. How the community treats detransitioners. Yeah. She would get fucking lynched, I imagine. Unless you can be a detransitioner as long as you continue to bend the knee, as long as you continue to say the right things. You know what I mean? So it can work. Lose community and friends. If she comes out regretting. Yeah, if she starts talking about regret, because like, we're a political movement now, so we need to propagandize, we need to make sure we look good even if we aren't good and stuff, which is never what I wanted. It's not why I transitioned. Honestly, like all this like politicization and all these extra things that come with being trans, like this belief system, like being far left, like being polyamorous, like whatever the fuck else. It just made me feel alien to it. It was just yet another thing that I would never fit in with, you know what I mean?
The video from Marcus to react to. Marcus is quite brutal. I've seen...
No, Marcus is fucking great. Listen, he's brutal, but that's good sometimes. Do you think the average person understands the difference between transsexuals and TRAs? Probably not, no. I think ultimately what people come across first is probably going to have a decently big impression on how they think about that ultimately. Which is why it worries me that we have such shit fucking representation, and anyone could go online looking for like information on this hot button topic and quite quickly come away with the idea that trans people are fucking insane fucking nightmare human beings, you know what I mean? Probably depends on where you land first.
Some of his videos, I'm sometimes left speechless, so let's watch a little bit of what he has.
I saw a detrans video the other day and most of the comments were praising them for not being transphobic. Yep, they were probably affirming all the same shit. Oh no, it's all real, it's all actually real, it just wasn't real for me somehow, you know what I mean? Yeah.
To say.
So many people out there are questioning Paige's trans joy because he doesn't seem that joyful. I think Elliot looks miserable.
See, I don't know how joyful I think offensive tranny is, but maybe it's a Danish thing. Maybe they just never look happy. I'm British, so I'm sure I get the same shit from people. Elliot detransitioning would be like Lizzo admitting she wanted to lose weight. Wasn't Lizzo one of the ones on Ozempic, or am I wrong? Listen, I don't keep up with Lizzo, to be honest. It's not my kind of music.
Like he is in pain. I'm questioning if this celebrity is truly trans because the agenda that they're promoting has literally nothing.
Here's where I divert from Marcus Dibb, as much as I actually really like his content. And I think he's surprisingly smart and empathetic, considering the kind of reputation he has, and like, even what his channel name is. I think when we're talking about truly trans, I don't even know what I think truly trans is anymore. It kind of seems like all trans is calling yourself a thing. And it kind of begins with identity. And like, that's become more important in recent years because it takes years to get any kind of medical care. So it's like if you're only basing it on who's been medicalized, then some people are just waiting fucking forever, you know what I mean? Whereas they're still kind of living the life. So I actually am not a trans med or a true trans or anything like that. People call me one sometimes. It's not true. And you're welcome to be wrong about me all you want. Oh, we don't know if it's Ozempic. Marcus didn't seem joyful, but seems normal and real. Yeah, I'd vibe with that. To be honest, Marcus to me looks like MC Grinder. Hang on, I don't know. He doesn't look that much like MC Grinder in this thing, but like, hang on. We'll get back to the video. This is who Marcus reminds me of. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But hey.
Thing to do with transsexualism.
Yeah, the thing is when you listen to what Marcus is saying, like he sounds like a real person. He doesn't sound like so canned and so scripted and rehearsed the way that so many TRA types do.
Every single thing that comes out of this person's mouth is ideology.
Again, we have...
Yeah, I feel that. I feel the same way. I think that's true.
Someone else pointing out there's no trans joy in that video, and we can't ignore that. I understand that, and I can see that there is a lot of pain there. To make the leap that Elliot's not trans, I think that's quite a big leap, and who am I to sit here and say if Elliot is trans or not? Again, it's not my business. It's not my place to say if I think they are trans or not.
I don't think it fucking matters if you say you don't think someone's trans, to be honest. I don't think it fucking matters one bit. Not one bit. Say whatever you want about people, honestly. Who cares?
Because it's their life and they live it how they want.
I mean, if all these TRA types can tell me that I hate myself and I'm just copying Blair White and shit like that on the regular, I don't feel bad for like those types being told they're not trans. And like someone saying that you're not trans, you don't have to like listen to it. You don't have to internalize that. You don't have to agree. If someone's like way off the mark, then it's like, well, I don't know, you're wrong about me. So like, well, what do you want me to say? So I don't care about that shit personally.
The video was supposed to be about trans joy, but what I got from Elliot's video, he was talking about trauma and how that one day he would be happy. But whilst talking about that trauma, he was probably reliving some of that in his head. I would be really interested to know what you guys thought of what we've just watched. Especially about the trans joy thing. I keep hearing this phrase pop up and it being used against trans people by some people who maybe disagree.
Well, yeah, because it's a divisive thing. Trans joy. This is trans joy. You sis can't have that. This is trans joy. It's a divisive thing already. So I kind of can't blame people for turning it back round. You know what I mean?
With trans people, and also by trans people themselves. It's used against ourselves. And no one's happy 100% of the time. It's physically impossible. But let me know what you think in the comments below. We'll always keep it nice if that's okay. But I always like...
No, I actually think I should watch a lot more of Alexis's stuff, because like I actually disagree with her quite often, it turns out. But like I appreciate her perspective and like her approach and stuff, you know what I mean? And that's similar with offensive tranny. I don't agree with him all the time, but I appreciate his perspective, you know?
To read your comments and just see what you guys think of it. Anyway, I'm going to close it there. If you do enjoy this kind of content, please do like, subscribe and hit that notification bell. I post 1 to 2 videos a week.
Yeah, I've always kind of wondered, stuff like autism and ADHD, it seems to kind of facilitate a lot of hyperfixating and stuff. And to me, yeah, that's going to make me more likely to come out as trans one day, who knows? But hey.
Because we have some more free time now.
That's the video. Anyway, there we go. Alexis Blake. It was an interesting video. I don't agree with much of what she's saying, but like I said, I appreciate her perspective at least. And like, there's a difference. Like, I get irritable watching some stuff because it feels like they're pushing like a narrative. It feels like they're pushing like an ideology. And I don't feel like that when I listen to someone like Alexis Blake. So I guess that's the kind of content I appreciate, even if I don't agree with it, if that makes sense. But yeah, there we go. Elliot Page. Alex is very likable and present. I welcome her videos if we disagree. Yeah, exactly. Like, she's not trying to cast stones. She's not trying to shit on everyone that thinks differently to her. And I hope people don't see me as that way. I get, like, vitriolic. I get irritated because I think there are certain people in, like, the trans spaces, people like, you know, Philosophy Tube and ContraPoints, who have made careers off of being bullshit artists. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's going to piss me off. That's going to invoke a certain reaction from me. But, like, I don't know. It's if you change the way you talk a little bit, you'll be surprised at the difference. And I try and explain this to people, that sometimes their approach is the problem, and that if they just change it a little bit, they'll probably get way better results. But I don't know.